What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Joe's Madness. If you're new to the channel, punch that subscribe button into submission. If you enjoy this video, take a moment to slap the like button like a pimp, and make sure to let us know what you think in the comment section as well. So changing things up a little bit here and there, changing the format some. I am working on making a website, and soon that will be going live, and I'll be making a video to let you guys know when it's live, and then showing you guys some of the features as well, so that way you can check things out here at YouTube and then over at the website. But we're going to be doing a full show review. We'll be going over my prediction results on this video here for the Ultimate Fighter 25 finale, where we had a season of redemption, the TUF Redemption season, and we had an awesome one. And I didn't do that well on the predictions, but I did have a fun time with the fights that I did see, and I did pretty well with UFC 213, which I'll be doing in the next video. After this, I'll show you guys a couple of the events from before, going over a review of them, because I actually didn't do any videos for the UFC event that was headlined by Kevin Lee, where he won, and there was some controversial stuff going on with that, with the slightly early finish. But anyways, so with this one, I had went with Teruto Ishihara to win over Gray Maynard, and Gray Maynard ended up winning by unanimous decision over Ishihara. So that ended up moving up Gray Maynard to 13-6 in his pro career, where Ishihara fell to 9-4. And the official results for that one was all three judges 30-26 for Gray Maynard over Ishihara, which is pretty crazy that he dominated him that bad. It's like, wow, crazy. So then next we end up going over to, and that one was on the Fight Pass with the early prelims, and then next we go to Tecia Torres versus Juliana Lima, and I had picked Tecia Torres to win it by a KO TKO in the third round, and she ends up picking up a submission in the second round. So I did pick her to get a finish, just the wrong one. I thought that she was going to get a TKO more likely onto Lima than a submission. It was a pretty slick submission. That was really cool. I watched it back over afterwards, and I was like, wow, that was pretty intense, because I missed I missed the first half of the event for the most part, as I didn't do any videos with my full fight play-by-play commentary that I've been doing, and changing up the style and the format of things here and there. So with Tecia Torres, she ended up picking up a rear naked choke victory at 53 seconds in round 2 over Lima. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing who Tecia will fight. She actually came into this one on short notice, as Amanda Ribas was supposed to make her UFC debut, and she ended up pulling out because of USADA violation. Hopefully Amanda gets that cleared up and she'll be able to fight in the UFC soon. Also, Jessica I and Aspen Ladd ended up getting pulled because Ladd felt illness, and Steve Boss was supposed to fight Jared Cannonier, but he had an injury, and we ended up having a replacement with a short notice with Nick Roehrick, and that dude is a badass. We'll be getting to that fight soon enough. So next up, we end up going to Ed Short Fuse Herman versus CB Dollaway. Actually, first, real quick, Tecia Torres moved up to 9-1 with her pro career, and Lima fell to 9-4 with her loss there. So now back to CB Dollaway and Ed Herman. As CB Dollaway ended up winning his UFC light heavyweight debut. I'm pretty sure it was his first fight at light heavyweight, and he ended up winning that one. I thought Ed Herman, because he's used to fighting light heavyweight, that he would end up putting a damper and a stop onto CB Dollaway, as I picked him to win in the second round by KO TKO. And CB showed up that night, and he definitely earned that victory, I feel. He won with a decision of 29-28, 29-27, 29-27. So Very interesting stuff there, where one judge gave a 10-9 round to Ed Herman on one of them, and then he ended up with 10-9s, losses to Dollaway. Dollaway won on all judges' cards, so that was a very interesting and intense fight. It'll be interesting to see who CB Dollaway fights next. Let me know who you think would be fun to see CB Dollaway fight next in the light heavyweight division. I'm not really sure right now who I would like to see him fight next in light heavyweight division. Kind of just like to see, in a way, who they throw at him and see how he does. It would be kind of cool to see him get a top 15 opponent in the light heavyweight division, as the light heavyweight division is kind of open right now. Like, it is. It's stacked. Some people will say that it's not stacked, and other people are like, oh yeah, it's super stacked and whatnot, and so let me actually go pull up the top 15 roster real quick. The the rankings. So that's actually something I'm going to do on my website. That I'm going to be going live soon with. That I'm going to have my own rankings for the light heavyweight, for all divisions in the UFC, and then kind of do one for all organizations together, like across the board, like who I think pound for pound is the best, top 15, in the men's, and then the same with the women's, but have them be separate, because the women don't fight as well as the men, and I feel that the women should have their own top 15 separate from the men. With all organizations included on that. And then I'm also going to have a voting with, people who come to the website. They can vote on who they think should be in the top 15 as well, kind of like a fantasy top 15 and whatnot, if they want to, and then also with different divisions, like who they think should be where and what division. And then, I'm planning on doing like an interesting ranking system, and I'll be making a video on why I have my rankings set up the way I do with those. So anyways, so with the light heavyweight division, right now the top 15, we're at 10 through 15. We got Nogari, we got Cummings, we got Rogerio Nogari at number 10, Patrick Cummings at 11, Tyson Pedro at 12, Gian Villan at number 13, and this dude's name is hard to say, Gadzimirad Antigulov is number 14. Jared Cannonier just moved up to number 15. So I know Jared had called out, after Jared won, he called out the newcomer for the UFC. I don't remember how to say his name off the top of my head, but the guy is a legend in kickboxing. I cannot wait to see him fight in the UFC. So I kind of would like to see Jared fight him first, but he has to be cleared. I know a lot of these guys are actually fighting soon, so who would he fight next? Who would he get in the top 15? I don't know, because I don't really see anyone that's open right now. I mean, like, soon we got, I believe, Tyson Pedro and is fighting Latifi coming up, I think, and then Patrick Cummings is fighting Villan soon. So maybe we could see CB Dollaway get the winner or the loser of Patrick Cummings and Villan. But then the loser's probably going to drop off the top 15. So kind of see what happens there. But anyways, so we end up having CB Dollaway move, getting a nice jump up in the in there, with that win. So he ends up moving up to 16-8. Ed Herman moves up to moves down to 22-13. And so I got 2 wrong and 1 right so far. Then next up we got James Carse versus Tom Gallicchio, and I went with Gallicchio to win with submission in the second round. I thought that he would be able to make the adjustment he would need between rounds 1 and 2, and that he would be able to figure out how to break through and beat Carse, and he just wasn't. James, just kept on the distance in that fight, and he just dominated the fight, and I like Tom. I wanted to see Tom win. He won me at the beginning of the season. I didn't like him, to be honest, and then over time he won me over during the season of TUF 25. I didn't really like him from the season before that he was in either, to be honest. I don't know what it was. So we end up having Krause winning it 30-27 across the board with all three judges by unanimous decision, and he moves up to 24-7, and Gallicchio moves down to 19-10. And next up, we had a fun women's fight in the strawweight division with Angela Hill over Ashley Yoder. I thought Ashley Yoder would pick up a submission by the second round and defeat Angela Hill. Angela Hill ended up winning the fight, and it was really fun with these two. I'm really looking forward to seeing both of these women fight again. And, so Angela Hill ended up winning this fight by all three judges' decisions, 30-27, unanimous decision on all three judges for her, and she moves up to 7-3, and Yoder moves down to 5-3. Now, for Angela Hill, she, let's see, did she jump up on the rankings? I'm pretty sure they update, yeah, July 10th. Is the new ones, and Angela Hill is not even on there. Wow, I thought she would jump up on there somewhere. For some reason, Morose and Casey switched places when they didn't even fight that week. That doesn't make sense when two people swap in a ranking system that didn't even fight that week. I don't understand that. What sense does that make? It makes no sense at all. It aggravates me when they do that. I don't understand it. It's ridiculous. And Angela Hill's not on the top 15 for some reason. I don't understand that. She should be with this win. Cynthia is number 14. Jessica Aguilera with multiple losses is number 15. And a woman who just won a fight's not even on there. It doesn't make sense. So I would like to see Angela Hill fight either Jessica Aguilera, Morose, Casey, Van Zandt, so one of those would be kind of cool to see her fight. I'm not sure who else right now because she's not ranked for some reason. So, but then women and the people who've lost her in there, another fucking caffeine crash. So Angela Hill should definitely get a top 15 opponent next in her next fight. Now we're going to be moving on to Jordan Johnson versus Marcel Fortuna. I really expected Fortuna to come out and get a knockout TKO in the first round. I know Jordan is a very tough and game opponent, but I really had a feeling that Fortuna, after defeating a heavyweight, I thought, he would just, pretty much squash this guy and roll over him and run through him, as he defeated and took out a heavyweight in his previous fight on short notice. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe we could see Jordan Johnson versus CB Dollaway. That might be a really fun fight right there. That could actually be an excellent fight with those two guys. So, and he ended up winning unanimous decision 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. He won 2 rounds to 1 over Fortuna. So Fortuna ends up moving down to 9-2, taking his second loss in his career, and Jordan Johnson moves up to a perfect 8-0. So, that's pretty cool to see him stay undefeated. I do like that. I'm happy that he stayed undefeated. Even though I didn't pick him, I am glad that he still won because he's a badass dude. Now we go to Brad Tavares versus Elias Theodorou. I picked Elias to win this one by TKO KO in the second round. So I thought in between rounds he would be able to make the adjustment he needed and end up getting that angle and taking out Brad Tavares. Even though Brad is a very tough and game opponent, Brad ends up winning this one by decision, and he wins by decision of 29-28, 29-28, 29-28 unanimous decision. Brad Tavares moving him up to 15-4, and Elias falls down to 13-2 with 2 losses in his career. Now, Brad's been a very fun fighter to watch through his career, and he is a middleweight, I believe. So, and he actually jumped up to number 15 on the middleweight rankings, and Thiago Santos did as well, and he is number 14. So maybe we could see Brad Tavares versus like Uriah Hall. Maybe Victor Belfort would fight him, or versus Krzysztof Jokov might be a fun one. There was a lot of movement in the middleweight division as Gegard Mousasi has signed with Bellator, so a lot of guys moved up the rankings, and Whitaker is the interim champion, so he moved up. Yoel moved down, So now let's go to the next fight, where we had Jared Cannonier end up winning by a KO TKO in the third round over Nick Roehrick. I picked Roehrick to win it by KO TKO. I really thought that man would win the fight, as he had never lost a fight, and he ends up losing his first fight when he debuted on short notice in the UFC against Jared Cannonier. Cannonier moves up to 10-2, and Nick falls down to 7-1 with his first pro loss in MMA. Now, the TKO came at 2 minutes and 8 seconds of the third round. Now, who will be next for Jared? Jared did call out the newcomer in the UFC. I think it's Gohan or Goku. I know I'm following him on Twitter, and I've watched videos. I've seen him kickbox before. I can't remember his name like up the top of my head right now, so I'm having a caffeine crash. So now we move over to the next fight with Drakkar Klose from Michigan against Marc the Bone Crusher Diakiese. I thought for sure that Diakiese was going to pick up a KO TKO in the first round, even though Klose has never lost and he had never been knocked out, and he's a really tough fighter. I really expected to see Diakiese be able to do something, but Klose threw him off his game plan and just tore through him. He kept kicking the leg, and he ended up winning by split decision. It was pretty crazy, like the way he reacted after winning when they announced it, because they announced 29-28 for him, for Klose. Then they went 29-28 for Diakiese, and then winner by split decision, Drakkar Klose, 29-28, and he just went like raw, and he got in the face of Diakiese, and it was Diakiese's first loss, and he looked pretty upset about it, and then Klose got all crazy, freaking out, a lot of emotions running through him. And then Brian Stann, if I remember correctly, he was in there to interview him after the fight, and he just kind of looked at him like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen he had a look on his face like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody ever react that way after winning a split decision win. I don't remember, I don't recall seeing anybody freak out that much afterwards to where they had to be restrained by referees and security and whatnot from getting in the face of the losing opponent, so that was pretty intense and interesting. And then he called all Europeans or British fighters, bums, was it? Or I'm trying to remember, I think it was British or English, because he said, no offense to Michael Bisping, but all English fighters are bums. And it's doofus, no, he's the champ, and then there's been other English champions, and then that's big disrespect to all them. But then he apologized later on in an interview, and that he was just really upset with Diakiese. I actually would kind of someday down the road like to see a rematch between these two, not right away. I don't want to see them run it back right away, but I do want to see these two end up fighting again someday down the road. Maybe 3 or 4 fights out, depending on how their careers go, you know what I mean? So next up, we had what was an awesome fight in the TUF 25 welterweight finale for this TUF Redemption season, and Jesse Taylor wins it by submission. I picked him to win it by submission in the first round, which he almost did. I almost had a perfect one there, but you know, he did it in the second round, and that was awesome. I was really excited and happy for the man to win it after what he went through and everything he's done since he lost that opportunity in season 7, and then turning his life around and being there for his kids and fighting and showing, you know, to never give up, keep on going and whatnot. So that was pretty sweet, and he won it with a friggin' awesome submission in the second round with the rear naked choke that was vicious. Like, that was so tight. Like, man, you squeezed the neck and the head of that Dhiego Lima wicked hard, and the body too, with the way he had that locked on. And it was awesome seeing him and the post-fight interviews and the stuff afterwards. If you missed those interviews, definitely check them out over at the UFC YouTube page, or UFC on Fox on YouTube as well. They have some pretty cool ones. And then I believe there's other, like, you know, YouTube MMA channels as well that have interviews with him, you know. And then we have the awesome main event, the fight of the year candidate. You know, right now it's the best fight of the year, and unless there's another fight awesome like that one that could beat it out, but, you know, most likely this will be the fight of the year, and you know, hopefully he gets the fight again before the end of the year, so we'll see. And I picked Justin Gaethje to win it by KO TKO by the third round. You can check out my prediction video. I felt that he could do it sooner, but I feel like that it's not going past the third round. No way is it going to go past the third round, and he did it in the second round with a vicious annihilation, man. Like, it was just a tear through, uppercuts, lefts and rights, hooks, knees to the head, a switch jumping flying knee to the head of Michael Johnson, and then to finish it, he was holding his head and he kneed him in the head, and Michael Johnson falls to the ground, leaning up against the cage, and Big John McCarthy steps in and stops it, with was it like 12 seconds to go in the second round to where it would have gone into the third round. Man, and Justin took a wicked beating from Johnson too. He got rocked multiple times, but he was not knocked out cold. That man can take a hell of a punch, a hell of a beating. I think it is going to be it's going to take one hell of a fighter to knock out that dude. I don't think that Tony Ferguson has the power to knock out Justin, in my opinion. You know, I think that it would be a freaking insane fight, the two of them fighting, though. It would be awesome. I'd love to see them fight. I think with Khabib would be trying to get it to the ground, and Justin would want to keep it standing up. The only way I think Khabib could beat Justin would be to get him to the ground and submit him. But I would be shocked to see that happen. I think that Justin would end up getting a TKO or knockout over him. Eddie Alvarez and Edson Barboza both have very hard-hitting style and knockout power, you know, and I feel that Edson Barboza could maybe knock him out, but I think that Justin would knock him out. Eddie Alvarez and Justin would be an amazing fight because both of them love to go for knockouts. Eddie doesn't really go for the submission much. He likes to stand up brawl, and he has knockout power, and I feel one of the two of them will knock the other one out, but I would pick Justin over them anyways. And the fight I would love to see someday is Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor. That would be a phenomenal and epic fight of epic proportions. You know, so someday we'll see that, I imagine, you know, as Justin is a warrior and a badass. I don't know who could stop him. But so I ended up with, let's go down there. Let's see that. I ended up with I went 3 for 11. That's horrible. It's been a while since I've had that with only one bonus. You know, it's been a long time since I've had something that bad. Now, I think UFC 212 actually was the other time where I had, I went 4 for 12 with one bonus here, you see, and then, you know, so you can see right there that I had Gedalia by submission, Broshina by TKO, KO, Barrera, and Figueiredo, and I was wrong with all the rest of them. But then, now we move, we'll go up with Hunt, I did good at 8 for 11, 4 bonuses and 1 perfect. Or shoot Laba, I got that one perfect, and then I had a nice little streak going there. And then we'll go over to Holly Holm and Carrera. I had 7 for 12 on that one, 3 bonus, 3 perfect. Holly Holm KO TKO in the 3rd round perfect. Harris KO TKO in the 1st round perfect. Sasaki submission in the 2nd round perfect. But then I got I was like I got the first one wrong, and then picked the right fighter, and then 2 back to back, and then it was kind of like boom, sweet. That was so awesome. And then now, well, I didn't actually do predictions for this one, so this is kind of a bonus here. I'll kind of go through it quick on this one here, so you guys can see this with the Chessie versus Lee. I went with Stansberry over Kimball, and Kimball won with a KO in the 1st round over Stansberry, and with Stansberry's submission. Then I went with Johnny Chase with a KO TKO in the 1st round, and went decision for Martin. Then I picked Jared Gordon with a KO TKO in the 3rd round, and he did it in the 2nd round over Michelle Quizones. And then I went with Devin Powell submission in the 3rd round, but Daryl Horshare ended up winning by decision. And then I went with Marina Moroz by KO TKO in the 3rd round, and she ended up losing to Carla Esparza by decision. I was like, oh man, And then I went with Marvin Vertoli over Victor Marinidad, and I went with submission in the 1st round, and he won by decision. And then I went with Eric Coach for submission in the 2nd round, and Clay Gudia won by decision. Then I went with Dennis Seaver over BJ Penn. I thought he was going to take him down and submit Penn in the 1st round, but he ended up winning by decision. And then we go with Tim Means versus Alex Garcia, and I went with Means to win by KO TKO in the 2nd round, and he won by decision. Then we go to Dominic Reyes making his UFC debut and him winning it over Joe Chim Christensen with the KO TKO in the 1st round, baby. Perfect. This dude is awesome. And then Justine Kish, I went with her for submission in the 3rd round, and Felicia Herring ends up beating her by decision after Justine Kish took a dump in the cage. She shit herself or pooped herself, crapped herself, whatever. A lot of people know about it. But with it, and I ended up watching over, and I was seeing some video clips and stuff online on Instagram and on Twitter and whatnot. And the referee actually stepped in the crap on the floor. It was just like, yeah, watch out, ref! No, don't step there. And he ended up stepping in it, So, and then. So that was pretty awesome that Felicia won. I do like Felicia. I just thought that Justine was going to win. I'm pretty sure she hadn't lost before, or maybe she had. And then Tim the Barbarian Bush ends up getting a KO TKO over Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, missing weight once again, which is crazy. He was missing weight in the welterweight division at 170, 15 pounds lighter. He was missing weight, and then he misses weight in the middleweight at 185. I was shocked. I was like, wow, how did he not make weight? Crazy. It is your job to make weight when you're a mixed martial artist and a fighter, and you're fighting professionally. It is your job to make sure you make weight. Now, that's one thing that I don't get. I understand that they do the whole weight cutting thing, but I know when I was wrestling in high school, I kept myself around my weight at all times. I might have to lose like a pound or 2 pounds before a meet the night before, and then keep myself at that weight. And if I had to drop a pound or 2, I'd go take a dump, or piss a bunch, relieve myself. And I wasn't being paid for it. I was being respectful of the game, So anyways, now we move. Is Johnny gonna retire now? or is he gonna fight again? Is he gonna move up to light heavyweight now and fight at 205? You know, what's Johnny Hendricks gonna do now? And then we have the awesome main event of Kevin Lee versus Michael Chessie, and I picked Kevin Lee to win it by TKO in the 4th round, and he ends up winning submission in the 1st round, even if the referee did not stop it early, like stop it like a second early before Michael passed out or tapped out. He was gonna tap out or pass out. He was on the verge. I have watched it over and over again. Those last couple of seconds there of the fight, when he gets the choke locked in, and you look at his eyes, you look at his hands, you look at all kinds of different aspects and things, and you can see that he he had his eyes basically closed, and he was going out. You know, he was going to sleep. So anyways, so that's pretty much where it's at. Wow, I didn't realize I've been talking for a half an hour. Something else. So with that event, I went 7 for 13 with 3 bonuses and 1 perfect with Reyes. I almost always get a perfect. Not always, but sometimes I do. I was actually surprised I didn't get 1 perfect for the TUF 25 finale. That was actually shocking to me that I didn't get anything perfect there. You know. It happens though, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about anything and everything I said. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to take a moment and slap that like button like a pimp. Share this video with your family and friends, and make sure to punch that subscribe button into submission if you have not subscribed here yet to Joe's Madness on YouTube. I will be doing multiple different events this weekend. We've got Glory Kickboxing coming up, which I plan on doing on Friday night, and then we have the women's MMA with Invicta FC 24 on Saturday, which I'll be covering all those fights, and then we have UFC 113. I'll be covering that as well over in Glasgow, Scotland. So make sure to stay tuned here. And if you want to be notified when I upload videos, make sure to smash that bell by the subscribe button to be notified when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching and listening along, guys. You guys are all amazing. Combat sports is awesome. Thanks for watching and listening.